Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking past just a couple lines in the Bible to really uncover the story of someone pretty remarkable, Phoebe.
Right. You see her name, Romans 16, verses 1 and 2. Paul calls her a diakonos, a servant, a patron.
Just those two verses.
Exactly. But our sources, they give us so much more. We're really digging into this first century woman from Central A.
That was the eastern port of Corinth, right? A busy place.
Oh, absolutely bustling. And she's juggling, life as a merchant's wife, a mother, while also becoming this, key figure in the early Christian movement.
And the mission today, it's not just who she was, but what she did, this incredible task Paul gave her.
Yeah, carrying the letter to the Romans. Think about that. Probably the most important theological letter of the time.
And she carries it from Greece, across the sea, all the way to Rome itself, the center of everything.
The trust involved there is just immense. So we're following her journey, the merchant's wife, mother to young Justin, balancing the books and singing lullabies.
And then carrying this scroll, this promise, that honestly changed the world.
It really did.
Okay, so let's start in Sencree. Not exactly a sleepy little town, as you said.
Yeah.
What was her life like before Paul showed up? What do the sources say?
Well, the sources really emphasize how precarious things were. Her husband, Nereus, was a merchant.
So dealing with Roman taxes, unpredictable shipping.
Exactly. Life was lived on pretty narrow margins. It was tenuous. And interestingly, some other texts mention her name, Phoebe, actually meant shining pure.
Huh. Shining pure in that busy, maybe grimy port city. That's quite a detail. But what about her role? Sources mention her music wasn't just for home.
No, it was practical, almost like a trade skill, you could say. She played the reed pipe, she sang.
What kind of songs?
A real mix. Some sources mention ancient Aramaic lullabies connecting to her heritage, but also, the rougher fishermen's chants you'd hear in the harbor.
So she used this talent out in the community.
Seems like it, yeah. Maybe at markets, gatherings. It was like a form of social or even economic currency. There's a line attributed to her. Songs pay what words cannot.
Okay, so she's using her voice in the marketplace, at home.
Yeah.
But then there's this shift towards spiritual leadership. That sounds like a big step.
It was a critical first step. The local synagogue, Rabbi Elishua, he saw her talent, her standing, and he did something bold.
What was that?
He asked her to be the first woman cantor in the Century synagogue.
Whoa, hang on. A woman cantor, first century, in a Jewish setting? How did that even fly? Wouldn't there have been pushback?
Oh, there definitely was controversy. The sources mention it. But it seems Rabbi Elishua made a strong case. His argument was practical, essentially. Women had sung our faith for generations.
So he framed it historically.
Right. And her role was specific, leading the liturgical songs, the blessings, the psalms, not the Torah reading itself.
Okay, a specific role, but still prominent.
Very. And she apparently committed completely, learned the cantillation marks, mastered the psalms. Sources say she brought a real warmth to the prayers, which helped, keep things together during some difficult times for the community.
That kind of skill and maybe stabilizing presence,
Yeah.
it sets the scene perfectly for Paul's arrival.
Exactly. Paul walks in, probably planning to speak, and there's Phoebe leading the service.
And what's she singing?
Psalm 22, the one. My God, why have you forsaken me? She's going through those really powerful verses, the mocking, pierced hands, casting lots.
And Paul just hears this.
He hears it, and he waits. Then, when she finishes, he stands up and essentially uses her song as his introduction.
Wow.
He proclaims that this ancient psalm, it wasn't just history, it was a perfect prediction, 1,000 years old, of Jesus of Nazareth, the suffering servant.
Wow. So her music becomes the bridge to his message.
It's this amazing collision, right? Music, prophecy, revelation, all centered on her voice in that moment.
And that encounter, that connection, it leads Nereus and Phoebe to actually take Paul in, offer him hospitality.
It does, which wasn't without risk, especially once Paul started preaching and converting people. But they did. They converted too.
And Phoebe. How did this change her perspective on her own gifts?
She immediately rededicated her voice. Promised it would now sing for mercy, is the phrase that comes down to us.
They didn't just become followers, though. After Paul left, they became central, didn't they? This harbor church.
Yeah, the sources called their home the anchor for the believers there. It wasn't just for worship, it was a hub. Practical support for missionaries passing through, for widows, the poor.
Nereus apparently called it a household not of blood, but of promise.
A powerful phrase. And this is where we really see Phoebe step up as more than just a host. She's an administrator, a leader.
You mean when Titus arrives?
Yeah.
Paul's protege.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Titus shows up later, carrying Paul's second letter to the Corinthians. And that church was, well, it was a mess.
Factions, controversies.
Big time. People saying, I follow Apollos, I follow Peter. And the whole issue with the Judaizers demanding Gentiles follow Jewish law, Titus walked right into that.
So Phoebe had to guide him through all that political infighting.
She was indispensable. The sources suggest she basically planned his visit, told him who to talk to and what order, helped him figure out who was undermining Paul, who was supportive.
That takes serious wisdom, discernment, political savvy, really.
Absolutely. It showed she could handle really complex internal church conflicts, which, makes perfect sense why Paul would trust her with something even bigger.
The external mission, taking the letter to the Romans.
It's the ultimate sign of trust, really. Paul's in Corinth. He's just finished writing this huge, dense letter.
The one he called a heart of all I have taught.
Right. Laying out justification by faith for everyone. This wasn't just a friendly note. It was a major theological statement aimed at unifying these diverse house churches in Rome. A political document, in a way.
What made carrying this particular scroll so significant? Why her?
Well, the content itself was, frankly, explosive. Romans basically upends assumptions for both Jews and Gentiles about the relationship with God.
Saying salvation is through faith equals for everyone, not through the law.
Exactly. And delivering that message into Rome, which had traditional Jewish Christians and wary Gentile Christians, needed someone not just reliable, but smart, someone who could potentially explain it, defend it.
So Paul was entrusting the core of his gospel to her.
Pretty much. And then there's the immediate danger. Paul himself couldn't sail from the port he planned to. Why?
Because there was a plot to kill him there.
Right. So his plans change suddenly. He needs someone trustworthy, capable, discreet. He hands the scroll to Phoebe.
And for her, it wasn't just carrying paper, was it?
No, the sources say she saw it as carrying a promise, something that would feed people hungry for truth in Rome. Her faith, her practical ability, that was the guarantee for the letter.
Okay, so she takes the scroll. The journey itself, not easy. Captain Marcus's ship.
No, the Mediterranean was always risky. They hit a massive storm, really violent.
The kind where sailors panic.
Absolutely. They were throwing cargo overboard to lighten the ship. Sources mention a young sailor, Demetrios, who was pretty skeptical about her faith. Everyone's freaking out.
And Phoebe, what did she do? Tied to a rope, apparently.
Yeah, clinging to a rope. But instead of panicking or cursing, she starts reciting scripture. Psalm 107.
Which part?
The verses about God calming the storm. He stilled the storm to a whisper. The waves of the sea were hushed. She's living out the faith Paul wrote about right there, facing death.
That must have made an impression, especially on the doubters, like Demetrios.
It absolutely did. Demetrios, who'd apparently been mocking her, saw her calm, heard her recitation. Later, he acknowledged to her, kind of grudgingly, that real faith is not only for calm seas.
Wow. So she ministered just by her presence, her reaction?
Pretty much. Her composure preached its own sermon.
Okay, so she makes it, survives the storm, arrives near Rome. Does she know anyone there?
Yes, thankfully. She's welcomed by Priscilla and Aquila.
The tent makers. Paul's friends who had been expelled earlier but were now back in Rome.
Exactly. They were her landing point, her network. And she doesn't waste any time. She delivers the letter straight away to the different house churches scattered across the city.
Planting that seed of a new kingdom, as one source puts it, right in the capital.
Right under Caesar's nose, essentially.
And she didn't just, drop it off and run. She met with leaders.
Oh, yeah. Key figures. Sources mention she connected with Peter and also John Mark.
Mark, who was writing his gospel account around then.
That's what the biographical traditions suggest, yes. She's bringing news from Paul, updates from Greece. Peter, apparently, was incredibly impressed. He called her Phoebe of Cenchreae, saying she carried not just a scroll, but the breath of the Spirit.
High praise from Peter.
Yeah.
So she stays in Rome for a bit, helping out.
Seems so, helping the community, maybe even involved in making copies of Romans to circulate. But, Cenchreae was still home. Nereus, her son Justin.
The pole of family.
That anchor, yes. So when she decides to leave, the Roman believers give her this amazing farewell gift.
What was it?
A brand new copy of the letter to the Romans, painstakingly copied by Aquila himself, for her to take back to her own church.
That's beautiful. It closes the loop. She brings the message to Rome and carries an authorized copy back from Rome. What happened when she got back to Greece? What's her legacy there?
Well, tradition says she and Nereus continued leading the church in Cenchreae. Their home stayed that vital sanctuary.
And she gained these affectionate titles.
Yes, things like Mother of the Faithful in Cenchreae or the Carrier of the Word. Her influence wasn't just fleeting, it was foundational for that community.
And the sources mention a tradition about her son, Justin, carrying on her work.
Yeah, it's a powerful image, even if it's tradition rather than scripture. Justin, grown up, taking a copy of Romans just like his mother did, and carrying it across the sea himself.
So Phoebe, the deaconess, the image is of her watching the harbor, maybe singing hymns as others sailed out.
Singing hymns of departure and praise, blessing the next wave of missionaries. It brings her story full circle, back to her voice, her music, but now fully in service to the faith she carried.
Her whole life just demonstrates how these huge world-changing movements can really depend on the faithfulness of one person doing their specific task.
It's the story of how messages travel, isn't it? She was a merchant's wife, she understood trade, she handled church politics, she faced a literal storm. And through it all, she just did what Paul asked, deliver the letter.
Her small story became part of this massive ongoing narrative.
Exactly. And there's that hymn text associated with her, the sea is his.
Right. The lyrics basically say no empire, not even Rome, can hold back the living word she carried.
It captures her life perfectly, I think. She navigated the empire's dangers, the faith's complexities, clinging to that scroll, defying plot, storms, skepticism.
So maybe the thought to leave you with is this. Think about how many empires have come and gone since Phoebe's time. Yet that scroll she carried, it's still here. Her legacy isn't about Nereus's business success. It's about her obedience, her faithfulness.
So what's the personal scroll, the message, the task, the mission that maybe you are carrying today? Something you might be underestimating the impact of.
Because history shows us, again and again, the most enduring legacies often arrive in the hands of the most unexpected carriers.
Something to think about. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.